So I wrote The World Behind the World in order to address this notion of the end times or the end of time, or what a lot of modern people or contemporary people are worried about, the end of the world. And the notion I was following was an ancient idea that there's a world behind this world. This world, the so-called world of reality, is the front of the world. And behind it is the eternal world, the world behind the world. And strangely enough, everything in the real world comes from the eternal world behind it. That's common to a lot of old mythologies. And so part of that notion is the idea that the world can't end because it's tied to the eternal. And then the second important notion in there is that each person is actually tied to the eternal, and there's a thread of the eternal in each person. That's why each person is capable of being creative and being surprising, but it's also one of the reasons why we suffer and we're not satisfied with the reality produced by, say, Walmart, or, the common simple world is never enough, because part of us is threaded to the eternal, and so we're seeking something divine by nature of being human. So, long time prior to writing the book, maybe 20 years ago, I had started collecting information about various calendars in the world, and part of that collection included when each of the different kind of calendars predicted that the world would come to an end, because a lot of them do that, or they're interpreted to be doing that. And so what's interesting about that, I probably collected, dozens of those. And almost all of the end times that they predicted have passed. And one of the exceptions is what's now called 2012. And so 2012 would become this kind of cause célèbre because it's still out there in front of us. And in a way, you could say there's a strange marriage or coincidence of Western thought, particularly Christian thought, which the literal interpretation of biblical stuff and all has led to a belief that the world is going to end at a certain time, and that belief has kind of morphed into information about ancient Mayan calendrical ideas. Now, the Mayans, everybody seems to agree, had the best calendar ever, the most detailed. What everybody doesn't agree about is that the Mayan calendar says that things will end in 2012. And so I guess maybe what I'm trying to say is, from a mythological point of view, but even from a genuinely calendrical point of view, that's not going to happen. It doesn't simply end. The Mayans didn't imagine it that way. That's been, like I say, something that's come out of Western mind encountering ancient Mayan calendars. Another thought is the word end doesn't mean finito, goodbye, over and out. Turns out that the word end, which is our final word, means loose end or tail end, or remnant is probably closest to what it means. So when we get to the end, what happens is the loose ends are used to start it all over again, or the remnants of one world become the beginning threads of the next world. The study of the end of things, the name for it is eschatology, from the old Greek, eskatos, which means last or last things. But it turns out that the last things include some lasting things. So when you get to the very last, some things don't last, but other things turn out to be lasting things that go right on. So my prediction, such as it would be, is that 2012 may be exciting. It may be a time of change. We're already in a time of change, but it won't be the end of time. It'll be another time of endings, and another time of last things, and another time of lasting things, and another time in which things will begin again. So putting too much energy into worrying about how it all will end causes people to miss the real point of being here, which is to keep finding ways to begin again, to keep finding ways to further become oneself. And a person can do the basic job of human life, which is to become oneself, whether we're mixed up with the last things or we're caught up in the beginning of things. No matter what the circumstances, the job of a person, as I try to say in the book, our job is to live the story we came here to live, and that story can find its way through the remnants of time, through the last things, and hopefully can pick up some of the threads of beginning things. Because one of the jobs of humans is to hold the tension of the world, and right now the tension is between the endings and the beginnings. And if people can hold close to the thread of their life and be able to develop a capacity to hold the tension of endings and beginnings, then that's as much as we have to do. And in the midst of that, we can probably find some joy and some happiness and hopefully a little bit of love as well.